to talking about pre-boarding. And I'm really excited to announce Ashley Cook, who is a CSPA Coach 1. She will be discussing some of these topics. I am going to pass the floor over to you now, Ashley.
Everyone can hear me? All good?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm going to do some pre-boarding. I'm going to try and keep this super sweet, short, if I go longer. So first I wanted to touch on some jumper readiness. Everybody, whether you have 10 skydives, thousands of skydives, whatever, just being aware of yourself, checking in, doing that mental, physical check-in with yourself, whether it's first jump of the day, your fourth jump, just being aware of both your physical and mental well-being. Have you eaten today? Have you drank? Did you get enough rest overnight? You're partying super late, so are you fully take on the day. Big thing is just trying to be aware of yourself, just so that way you're staying safe for you and for everybody. So on the jump. Coming to any drop zone, I know we all are aware of drop zone safety, so go seek out Manifest to discuss drop zone briefings, aircraft things. Super important to just figure out the landing area, know where the hazards are, know where your outs are going to be safe outs if you're not going to make it back to the whatever reason. So yeah, Manifest can always point you in the right direction, whether it's like at our drop zone, so where Gord is, or Allison can always give you a brief, whether that means some coaches that she's got lined up that can give you a brief as well, just so that way you're familiar with the area. And it's the same thing when it comes to aircrafts. Every drop zone has aircrafts. Island, we're Cessnas, but going, say, like the winter, we all went down to Arizona, and getting into some of the bigger planes was either a new experience or an experience that hasn't happened in a long time. So just being familiar with aircrafts and helicopters. I know Nikki touched on a lot of gear discussion, but just being familiar with your gear is super important. Making sure that whatever discipline you're going to go out and do in the sky, that your gear is appropriate for it. So if you're going to go out and free fly, do you have a free fly friendly rig? I know from some previous stories of individuals that were supposed to be aware of rigs non-free fly friendly abilities, and they went and flew anyways and did some pretty significant damage to that rig. Luckily didn't harm themselves, but I mean that is always potential when participating in that you're set up for. So just being familiar with your gear and making sure that it is set up for whatever distance it's going to be. And lastly, when it comes to jumper readiness, is setting good goals for yourself, whether it's like a solo skydive, or if you're going to be participating in a 2-way, 3-way, big way, whatever, having a good plan with one another, setting up some SMART goals, making sure that they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. I know that that's kind of, it's a lot when it comes to the skydive itself, but we all set out to create a jump that's successful. We all want to have a good time, be safe, and avoid the zoo jumps if we can. I know there's fun in that, but just making sure that we communicate with the jumpers that we're going out with, being prepared, practice, dirt dive the jump. Don't just be like, oh, we're gonna go and do this big belly and it's gonna be great, whatever. Like, no, let's actually discuss how we're gonna exit the plane, how we're going to set up this formation, what does break off look like. So having those good open lines of communication, those that set you up for success, and should be done in advance before we get to the airport. next kind of on my list is before we go and manifest ourselves on a load, is making sure that we have all of our gear ready. I can't tell you how many times we'll have, yeah, I'm ready to go for a jump, and then the van's moving and they're nowhere to be found. 5 different directions trying to find all their gear. So make sure you have everything that is required. Your rig's packed, have your jumpsuit, altimeter, helmet, goggles, whatever it is, make sure it's ready before you even go in. So you're going to set yourself up for success by making sure at least that is squared away. All the boxes are checked. My next big thing would be the gear itself. I know Nikki, again, touched a lot on checks, but I think we're all responsible for our own gear, whether we're packing it ourselves or not, to be mindful that we should be doing thorough gear checks after every jump. It only takes just one time for something to fray, to loosen, to break, and we might not even realize it. So running your lines, make sure you're inspecting your or your weighing it for whatever reason, making sure your closing loops are in good condition, your pins are in the right position. Just taking an overall good look while that canopy is laid out on is super important. And I know a lot of us don't pack our own reserves. Thank goodness for all of our riggers out there, for doing such an awesome job, but there's still an important aspect to inspect what we can see. Is the closing loop packed? Do you have is the seal on your pin for your reserve? Making sure that it is nicely in its tray. There's nothing bulging, no fabric sticking out. So super, super important that we're always inspecting our gear all the time, not just once a season, not once a weekend, constant. Getting to the airport, I think it's super important to touch on being ready for our jump right away, rather than waiting till the last second is coming in or has landed, because that's when we rush, that's when mistakes. So get to the airport, take the time, look your gear over again. So making sure you've looked at your 3-ring system. You're looking at your harness. So I like to set up my rig essentially on the ground. I turn my AED on first thing, and for our DZ we have an offset. So I make sure that offset is set appropriately. If you need help, ask around. No harm asking for assistance. Everyone is super kind and super easy to talk to, and nobody would ever fault you for asking for help. And set up a system so that way follow it. Create a routine. So like I said myself, I set up my aid right away. And then I look my gear over front to back, top to bottom, left to right. I go through my 3-ring system. I look at my harness. All the webbing is intact. There's no fraying. There's twists. I will essentially turn it over. I will double check my reserve pin, and then my main, make sure that my pin is appropriately placed in there as well. Not bulge your pilot, it's tucked in. There's no snag hazards. Being aware of hazards. Sometimes forget. Being aware of it's just as important as the boat in the sky. So it's what's going to keep you going. I have another skydive, so it's I can't stress it enough how you need to get into a routine like that. Make sure you get your gear on in a timely manner, so that way, as I said, you're able to happy with your setup, and you can get out the ask for a pin check or a gear check from a buddy. I know bad for not doing that, and we really should do more of it, because it's easy to overlook things as well. That some just a fresh set of eyes can say, oh, hey, your paddle should push back or whatever. So don't hesitate to ask for a second set of eyes. You just look everything over and make sure you fasten everything the way it's supposed to be, that everything's tight, form fitted, nothing is loose. Yeah, and lastly, big thing is accessories. So making sure you have all, when it comes to your gear, helmet, altimeters, jitters, jumpsuits, you name it, whatever you're going to use to be successful in this skydive, make sure you have it there. It's set up appropriately for this jump, for the drop zone that you're attending, offsets, altitudes for your jitters. Just making sure that you have all of that with you and set up prior to going onto the tarmac. There's nothing worse than seeing people running across the tarmac to the plane and they're just like half putting on their harness and their helmet in hand, and like they're just disorganized, and it's stuff like that is disheartening, because we could so easily be successful and safe and not rush. I know there's days get really fast. We got to go, but see, Brian and he is third, but it is still really, really important, and we be mindful that we can control what we can control. And lastly is just some snag hazards. I'm just being mindful that we're tucking in extra harness material into our leg straps. Make sure we're tucking chest strap, elastic for the little keepers. Be mindful of our called like camera mounts and stuff. So just being aware that there are possible snag hazards. Where are they? Have you minimize them to the best of your ability? Yeah, everything that you can do to make your skydive as safe and successful as possible. That, I think we're done. Good.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. And there was some audio issues. In case I'm sure other people might have heard. I know. I was like, I messaged Dustin, but that's okay. I think 99% got the gist of the whole entire conversation.
You tell me this is rude.
That is okay. I didn't want to distract you either, but I was like, we're figuring it out. I think everyone on panel would say we're figuring it out.
It was great otherwise.
It was awesome. Is there any questions that anyone has right now for Ashley as far as pre-boarding? Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley.